Do you like playing Strat knockoffs at Renaissance fairs? If you do or don't, you're going to need a guitar without a broken headstock. And in this video I show you how I repair a Gibson SG Headstock broken in 3 places and repair its cherry red colour.
So 1, 2, 3, take my hand and come with me because you look so fine that I really want to make you mine.
So this is the SG Headstock. The face of it is not cracked, as you can see. The back is in 3 places. There's the main crack, which is what I'm tweaking there. The second one is this little part on the cheek, and that's pretty tight. The hardest part is going to be this third little piece, which is holding on just with a few threads of wood, and it really is a difficult piece to glue in and hold with everything else, and you'll see why later on. The headstock itself clamps down good. It does have a slight rise here, but what I'm going to do, I've got 2 clamping coils covered with cork, and if I put this up against here, because of that slight rise here, it's going to apply more pressure to the point where it needs it most, or only needs it. So it's going to just work in my favor in every way. So I just have to be careful not to let this second part slip. So here I'm just adding a bit of tight bond to a cup and watering it down about 10%, using a brush to get the glue into everywhere I need it. I'm going to start with the second thing that I mentioned, which is the tight heel crack, and I just pry that open, or keep it pried open with some dentist picks, and work the glue in. The second thing to get glued up is the main crack. I'm going to leave the hardest one to last. In the past I've used epoxy if it was a really tight crack, so I could have the 20-minute open time to get the glue in, but Titebond was good for this. There's the third final piece. It was actually quite difficult to get in because it had to be clamped down and forward, so it's not as easy as it looks. Then I didn't show, but I did put some Vaseline over the truss rod nut, and I'm just cleaning out the truss rod cavity now. Then here I am clamping up with the cork blocks and some wax paper. This went down pretty well, and just some general cleanup before I add the elastic band, which is what I tend to use always on headstock brakes, and it really puts a lot of pressure right on that end part. You can see I'm concentrating right on that, and that's just above that third little piece, and it worked a treat, as it always does. So unclamping the next day, it's always kind of fingers crossed, but it shouldn't be, I suppose. But just pulling the wax paper off, that residue just gets cleaned up with some cold water. It doesn't affect the glue joint or anything. So I'm just cleaning up the face and chipping away some little bits on the cavity. And after you remove all of the wax paper, the true quality of the joint that you've glued up reveals itself. So everything went back together very well. There is still witness lines, I suppose you could call them, and a little bit of a high bit here. I can feel the crack, but it's not really higher or lower than each other. So I hope you're liking the video so far. The best part is when I sand through the finish and the color and then repair it all. Spoilers. If you do like this video and getting value out of it, please consider liking and subscribing. That is amazing, and I appreciate every one that I get. Also, leave a comment if you see me doing something really good, or if you think it's really bad and dumb. Hopefully not the latter, but I do read everyone and try and reply to everyone, and it's really interesting to read through people's opinions of what I do, how I do it, and why I do it. I try and explain all those 3 things, because sometimes the why is different according to the job and the guitar, so it sort of changes, and I try and make people aware of that. So thank you so much. Like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest. Might actually hit it with some 600 first. Yeah, straight through the colour. And that finish is thin. So if you don't know what P600 is, it's sandpaper that has an abrasive quality about the same as office paper, so it's really light. I did expect to sand through, but I didn't expect to sand through so fast. But this is one of the cheaper SGs with a no pore fill and very, very thin finish, as you can see. So I'm just refining the whole area with this P600. What I'm doing, I'm sanding a little bit, then feeling with my finger the crack area, both sides of the crack. And I'm doing this with my eyes closed, so if I can't feel the crack, then I know it's going to be invisible when I put finish over it. There won't be any witness lines. But if I can still feel it, then I just continue to refine the area until I can't feel it. It's a really good rule of thumb. So before you add any color to raw wood, you've got to seal it, or you should seal it. This is some garnet shellac, and this is just, sealing all that end grain so the color doesn't blotch everything. So adding the shellac, I can see that the color variation isn't too much. It's only a couple of shades really. The player has worn away all the color on the neck, so the transition isn't going to be anywhere near as hard as I thought it was going to be. So I'm using the color tone Trans Tint Cherry Red from Stu Mac. I charge the paper towel with garnet shellac, then I just use some residue from the bottle, and I'm just swiping this on. So there's various ways that I could have done this. I've been doing this for 20 years, so I'm kind of experienced with color. You could also airbrush this. You could use a small touch-up spray gun. It's just how good you are at it, really. How confident you are at color matching and all that. So this might not be the best way to start. Maybe it's the best way. I don't know. But it's the way I do it now after 20 years, and I get really good results. So I'm just fairing in the color and just wiping it on, pulling it off as much as I needed to color match everything and to make it everything bleed in and fade in and look as it would if it had come out of the factory. All right, I think that's even. So I'm going to put some glue boost on there as thinly as I can, and then hit it with some steel wool to knock it back to kind of a satiny finish, which is what this is, and that will be a pretty invisible repair. So I have some thin fill and finish glue boost. So again, the way I'm applying this works for me, works really well after 20 years. It may or may not work for you if you're a newbie at it, so just be careful, practice. The color didn't bleed out, which is good. Okay, that's just one swipe of the glue boost and hit with a bit of the accelerator from glue boost and a light caress of steel wool, and that will blend in the shine to the original kind of satin matte finish, and just use the hard light and reflection to your advantage. That looks and feels totally natural. I would have to get that into like direct sunlight to see that repair, I reckon. Yeah, that turned out great. So whenever I do a repair and film it, I try and show you, the audience, it in the worst/best light to reveal any problems that might be within it. But this repair, I think, turned out really good, and the customer did a double take when he saw it. Yeah, I think it looks amazing, to be honest. I could just see a line, but if I didn't know it was there and wasn't looking for it, I would completely overlook that. But in general, if you're buying a second-hand Les Paul, take a look at the neck, because it's probably got a crack in the headstock. You can see here this pan-down shot. The neck itself has had a lot of wear from the player playing it, which is great because it makes the transition so much easier. And I think this guitar is looking cool. So after I repair every guitar, I clean up the fingerboard, remove the crud with some razor blade and some quadruple O steel wool on the frets and wood. Then I use some fingerboard oil, in this case the Music Nomad F1, and just hydrate the fingerboard. It makes the entire guitar just look 100 times better when everything's nice and shiny. So all the tuners and stuff go on. I would recommend putting on the truss rod cover after you string it up in case it needs a truss rod adjustment, but the customer said that it was playing perfectly before the crack. Quick check of the intonation.
Take my hand and come with me because you look so fine that I really want to make you mine. really wanna make you mine. 4, 5, 6, come on and get your kicks. Now you don't need the money when you look like that, do you, honey? Big black boots, long brown hair. She's so sweet with her get back stare. Well, I could see you home with me, but you were with another man, yeah. I know we ain't got much to say before I let you get away, yeah. I said, are you gonna be my girl? Take my hand and come with me because you look so fine that I really wanna make you mine. I say you look so fine that I really wanna make you mine. 4, 5, 6, come on and get your kicks. Now you don't need the money with a face like that, do ya? Big black boots, long brown hair. She's so sweet with her get back stare. Well, I could see you home with me, but you were with another man, yeah. I know we ain't got much to say before I let you get away, yeah. I said, are you gonna be my girl?